Imagine a world where love defies borders, but society's prejudices won't budge. In Sayonara, Marlon Brando's Ace Groover, a man of privilege and protocol, finds himself entangled in a romance that challenges everything he stands for. Audrey Hepburn was offered the role of a Japanese bride but turned it down, admitting she couldn't pull it off. Yet the real story here isn't just Brando's southern drawl, it's the 10,000 serviceman who, like the novel's author, defied regulations to marry Japanese women. This isn't just a love story. It's a mirror to a society grappling with its own hypocrisy. In the late 1950s, Sayonara dared to tackle interracial romance, a topic Hollywood often sidestepped. Marlon Brando stars as Major Lloyd Ace Groover, a man whose rigid beliefs are upended when he falls for a Japanese performer, challenging both his own prejudices and the military's strict regulations. This film, based on James A. Michener's novel, mirrors real-life defiance. By 1956, over 10,000 American servicemen had married Japanese women despite official bans. Brando's performance, marked by his insistence on a southern accent, adds an unexpected layer to Groover's character, though it's a choice that divides audiences. Audrey Hepburn, initially offered a role, declined, citing her inability to convincingly play a Japanese woman, a decision that highlights the era's problematic casting practices. Directed by Joshua Logan, Sayonara doesn't shy away from its themes, but its execution raises questions about authenticity and representation. Scenes like the tense confrontation between Groover and his friend Joe Kelly, played by Red Buttons, capture the emotional stakes, yet the film's handling of cultural dynamics feels both bold and flawed. This review will explore how Sayonara navigates its ambitious narrative, its impact on cinema, and whether its progressive intentions outweigh its shortcomings. Set against the vibrant yet tense backdrop of post-war Japan, Sayonara introduces us to Major Lloyd Ace Groover, a U.S. Air Force officer stationed in Kobe. Ace, portrayed by Marlon Brando with a surprising southern drawl, a choice that reportedly clashed with director Joshua Logan's vision, is a man of privilege and protocol. His world is orderly, his beliefs rigid, particularly when it comes to relationships between American servicemen and Japanese women. Ace's staunch opposition to such unions is immediately established, setting the stage for a personal and cultural reckoning. The film opens with Ace's arrival in Kobe, where he's tasked with overseeing the transfer of a fellow officer, Joe Kelly, who has defied military norms by marrying a Japanese woman. Ace's disdain for Joe's decision is palpable, reflecting the era's pervasive prejudices. Yet it's here that Ace first encounters Hana Ogi, a mesmerizing Japanese performer played by Miyoshi Umeki. Their paths cross during a traditional kabuki performance, a scene that contrasts Ace's discomfort with the beauty and grace of Hana Ogi's art. Meanwhile, Ace's own fiancée, Eileen Webster, arrives in Japan, eager to marry and settle down. Patricia Owen's portrayal of Eileen highlights the cultural and emotional distance between Ace and his intended, foreshadowing the cracks in their relationship. As Ace navigates the complexities of his duties and personal life, the film subtly weaves in the societal pressures of the time. The military stance on interracial marriages is clear, and Ace's initial adherence to these norms underscores the film's central conflict. Interestingly, Audrey Hepburn was initially offered the role of a Japanese bride opposite Brando but declined, citing her inability to convincingly portray an Asian character, a decision that speaks volumes about Hollywood's casting choices in the 1950s. The first act of Sayonara masterfully sets the stage for Ace's transformation, as his encounters with Hana Ogi and the realities of Japan begin to challenge his deeply held beliefs. The tension between duty and desire, tradition and change is palpable, making the setup both compelling and thought-provoking. Behind the scenes, Sayonara was a film that mirrored the complexities of its story. In 1956, the year before its release, over 10,000 American servicemen had defied military regulations to marry Japanese women, a reality that hit close to home for James A. Missionaire, the author of the novel on which the film is based, as he himself had married a Japanese woman. This personal connection likely infused the narrative with authenticity, though the film's portrayal of interracial romance was still groundbreaking for its time. On screen, Marlon Brando's character, Major Lloyd A. Scroover, grapples with his own prejudices, a struggle that feels raw and real, perhaps because it echoed the very real tensions of the era. Interestingly, Dennis Hopper, who would later become a Hollywood icon, lent his voice to several minor characters, a detail that adds a layer of intrigue to the film's production. One of the most striking scenes is the Kabuki theater performance, where Brando's character first lays eyes on Hana Hogi, played by Miyoshi Umeki. The cultural specificity of this scene was no accident. The production team went to great lengths to ensure the authenticity of the Japanese elements, from the costumes to the choreography. However, the film isn't without its flaws. While it boldly addresses interracial relationships, it still relies on Hollywood's tendency to center the white male perspective, with Brando's character driving the narrative. This choice, while reflective of the time, limits the depth of the Japanese characters, who often feel more like symbols than fully realized individuals. Despite this, Sayonara remains a significant film, both for its daring subject matter and the behind-the-scenes stories that shaped it. From Missiona's personal experience to Hopper's uncredited contributions, every element adds to the film's rich tapestry, even if it falls short of true cultural parity. In Sayonara, Marlon Brando delivers a performance that, while compelling, is somewhat at odds with the character's background. Brando insisted on playing Ace Groover with a southern accent, a choice that director Joshua Logan opposed, arguing it didn't fit a West Point-educated general's son. Despite this, Brando's portrayal of Ace's internal struggle, from prejudice to acceptance, remains a highlight, particularly in the tense scenes where he confronts his own biases. One such moment is his heated argument with Nakamura, where Brando's intensity underscores Ace's gradual transformation. Patricia Owens, as Eileen Webster, brings a quiet strength to her role, her performance serving as a grounding force amidst the film's emotional turmoil. Her scenes with Brando, especially their tender moments, add depth to the story's exploration of love and cultural barriers. Interestingly, Audrey Hepburn was initially offered the role of a Japanese bride opposite Brando but declined, citing her inability to convincingly portray an Asian character, a decision that, while understandable, highlights the era's problematic casting practices. The film also features Dennis Hopper in minor roles, showcasing his versatility, though his contributions are overshadowed by the leads. Behind the scenes, the story mirrors reality. In 1956, over 10,000 American servicemen defied regulations to marry Japanese women, a statistic that adds weight to the film's themes. Brando's performance, though occasionally mismatched in tone, carries the film, particularly in its climactic scenes, where his emotional range shines. Owens, meanwhile, delivers a nuanced portrayal of a woman caught between cultures, her restraint complementing Brando's intensity. Together they elevate Sayonara beyond its flaws, making it a poignant, if imperfect, exploration of love and prejudice. What sets Sayonara apart is its bold approach to storytelling, tackling themes of cultural prejudice and interracial romance with a sincerity that was ahead of its time. The film's strength lies in its ability to humanize complex issues through intimate, emotionally charged scenes. One standout moment is the tender exchange between Brando's Ace Groover and Patricia Owens' Hana Ogi, where the camera lingers on their shared vulnerability, stripping away societal barriers to reveal raw, universal emotions. This scene is a masterclass in understated cinematography, using soft lighting and tight close-ups to amplify the characters' connection. The dialogue here is equally powerful, avoiding heavy-handedness while conveying the weight of their forbidden love. Interestingly, Audrey Hepburn was initially offered the role of a Japanese bride but declined, acknowledging the cultural sensitivity of the part, a decision that underscores the film's commitment to authenticity, even if it occasionally falls short. The film's cultural context is further enriched by its real-world parallels. In 1956, over 10,000 American servicemen had defied regulations to marry Japanese women, mirroring the story's central conflict. Brando's insistence on a Southern accent for Ace Groover, though debated, adds an unexpected layer to the character, challenging the audience's expectations of a West Point-educated officer. The film's score, while not overly intrusive, complements the emotional beats, particularly during the kabuki theater scenes, where traditional Japanese music blends with Western orchestration to symbolize the character's cultural crossroads. These elements combine to create a film that, despite its flaws, remains a poignant exploration of love, identity, and societal norms. Sayonara's cultural impact is a complex tapestry, reflecting both the film's progressive ambitions and the limitations of its era. Released in 1957, the film dared to tackle interracial romance and cultural prejudice at a time when such themes were rarely addressed in mainstream cinema. The story of a U.S. Air Force major falling for a Japanese performer challenged audiences to confront their own biases, particularly in the context of post-World War II tensions. This bold approach set Sayonara apart, earning it a place in cinematic history as a trailblazer for more nuanced portrayals of cross-cultural relationships. The film's sincerity in addressing these themes was ahead of its time, though it wasn't without its flaws. Marlon Brando's performance, while compelling, was somewhat at odds with his character's background, as evidenced by his insistence on using a Southern accent, a choice that felt out of place in the film's setting. Despite this, Sayonara paved the way for future films to explore similar themes with greater authenticity. Its influence can be seen in later works that tackled interracial relationships with more depth and sensitivity, such as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967. The film also played a role in shifting societal attitudes, sparking conversations about cultural acceptance and the human cost of prejudice. One of the most memorable scenes, where Brando's character confronts his own biases during a tense dinner with his Japanese love interest, remains a powerful moment in cinema. It encapsulates the film's central message: love transcends cultural boundaries, even if society struggles to accept it. Interestingly, William Holden was originally slated to play Ace Groover, but left the project to film The Bridge on the River Kwai 1957, a decision that likely altered the film's dynamic. Sayonara's legacy is a testament to its courage in addressing difficult topics, even if it didn't always succeed in its execution. It remains a significant cultural artifact, reminding us of how far we've come and how far we still have to go in embracing diversity and challenging prejudice. In the final analysis, Sayonara is a film that deserves recognition for its ambitious storytelling and cultural relevance, but it's not without its flaws. Marlon Brando's performance, while compelling, is marred by his insistence on a Southern accent that feels out of place for a West Point-educated officer. It's a distraction that pulls you out of the narrative, though his chemistry with Patricia Owens helps anchor the emotional core of the film. The film's handling of interracial romance is undeniably progressive for its time, especially considering the real-life context of over 10,000 American servicemen marrying Japanese women in 1956. Yet, it's hard to ignore the irony of casting non-Japanese actors in key roles, a decision that feels dated and problematic today. Audrey Hepburn's refusal to play a Japanese bride, citing her inability to convincingly portray the role, highlights the era's limitations in casting authenticity. Despite these shortcomings, Sayonara remains a significant piece of cinema, particularly in its sincere attempt to challenge cultural prejudices. The scene where Brando's character confronts his own biases in a tense, rain-soaked argument is a standout moment, raw and unfiltered. However, the film's pacing and some overly melodramatic sequences prevent it from achieving true greatness. Ultimately, Sayonara is a worthwhile watch for its historical and thematic importance, but it's a film that invites as much critique as it does admiration. If you're interested in mid-century cinema's approach to complex social issues, it's a must-see, but temper your expectations with an understanding of its era's constraints.